Hey everybody, I'm back. Yes, there's another issue I wanted to talk on today, and it's something I'm still not totally clear on. I'm hearing these rumors now that we are preparing possibly to put 3,000 troops into Lebanon. Or maybe they're already on their way there, or possibly we already have 3,000 Marines on the ground in Syria. It seems to be unclear whether or not we're planning to do it, whether we've decided to do it, or whether we've already done it. And I understand that. They want to keep these types of things secret. So, is this a good idea to send 3,000 Marines into Lebanon? That is a very, very tricky question if you're the president. I wouldn't want to be making that call. Here's why. Okay, so the situation is in Syria. The game is just about up. The terrorists, meaning ISIS, Al-Qaeda, have now been pushed all the way back to their original stronghold, their original base, which is in a place called Raqqa. Raqqa is going to fall. ISIS in Syria will be defeated. The only question is, how long? Well, right now, and as it has been going on for the past year and a half, the Russians, since they got involved bringing Russian air power into the conflict, working alongside the government forces of Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian government, along with the special forces of Iran and the best urban warfare fighters in the region, Hezbollah, they have all been working together to defeat ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Syria. They have finally backed them up to Raqqa. This is their last stand. This is where ISIS will be defeated, and it's just a matter of whether it will be a matter of months or maybe another year. Their days are numbered. The ball game is over. Just a matter of how long. So, if you're the United States, what do? So you see, if you stay out of it and you don't get involved in it, that means that sometime in the next probably 3 months, at the soonest, maybe probably no more than a year, the Syrian government, along with the Russians, Iran, and Hezbollah, are going to defeat, completely wipe out and defeat the ISIS in Raqqa. And that will be it. It will be over. And that will bring pretty much the Syrian war, for the most part, to a close. And that's very good. The problem is that means that you're allowing the Russians, the Iranians, Hezbollah, and the Syrian government to get the glory for the victory, which means they also get to decide the future. So that presents a very difficult problem for the United States. Because first of all, from just purely from a political standpoint, if you're Donald Trump, you would much rather see it being the U.S. Marines photographed standing on the rubble and the dead bodies of ISIS in Raqqa. You realize how much of a political boost that would be for Donald Trump to be able to say, okay, we have defeated ISIS in Syria. Syria is now free. The Syrian refugees can now come home. They can go back to their home. We can now begin to rebuild Syria, and hopefully those people will have a much better life. The problem is, for the Trump administration, is he's spent his entire campaign talking about not wanting to send troops into that region of the world. And another problem is that if you send in 3,000, that ain't enough. That ain't enough. 3,000 is not going to be enough to take credit for the victory. Maybe they think it will, but it probably won't. It won't play that well. You're going to have to share, at least at the very least, share that victory. Now, the United States, they want to have something to say about Syria in the future moving forward. They would like to see Bashar al-Assad go away. Now, the Russians have already agreed that they're fine with that. They have no problem. What the Russians want is to see the terrorists defeated in Syria, along with the Iranians and Hezbollah. They want to see ISIS and Al-Qaeda wiped out. But they would like to see Bashar al-Assad stay in power. And of course, the United States would rather not see that. So that's a problem. So there is a joint agreement where they could say, okay, once we have finally defeated ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Syria, we allow maybe 2 to 3 years to get the country, back under control, allow all the refugees, the citizens of Syria, to come back to their homeland so that they can take part in the election process, where we have an election and a new person runs for office. Now, at this point, it looks like Bashar al-Assad would be one of the candidates running, but and if the people reelected him, well, then that's the way that they would vote. But maybe they'll elect someone else. And so the United States wants to make sure that whoever succeeds Bashar al-Assad in power is someone who's friendly to the West. The Russians, of course, along with the Iranians and Hezbollah and their friends, they want to make sure that whoever would succeed Bashar al-Assad in Syria is friendly to them. So this is why Donald Trump faces a very difficult situation. Do you sit back and watch and allow Russia, Syrian government, Bashar al-Assad, the Iranians and Hezbollah get to celebrate and take credit for the victory of defeating ISIS in Syria and then get to decide the future? I don't think so. I think Donald Trump's probably going to have to send some troops in there, but 3,000 ain't going to get it done. My research in this particular area, which is one of my specialties, is that it would take 60 to 90,000 troops if the U.S. really wants to go in there and do the job themselves. And if you want to get the credit for it, and this reminds me a lot of what we did in World War I. You know, in World War I, we watched the Europeans sit there and just destroy each other. When there was literally no more Europeans left to fight, when there was literally, they were sending, 90-year-old men and 6-year-old boys out there on the battlefield to fight the war because they had no actual, normal military-aged men left. Only then did the United States come in with their fresh, young military, well-fed, well-armed, well-trained, who came in when the battle was 90% of the way over, and we got to come in and take complete credit for it, for the victory of World War I, and then we got to have the biggest seat at the table in redesigning the new world following the end of the war. This is what we want to do in Syria. This is what the military, certainly, the intelligence community, both political parties, it doesn't matter who you ask in Washington, even including the president, they definitely want to be the people who win the war in Syria, the ones who can stand on the pile of rubble and dead bodies and claim that they defeated ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Syria and have liberated the Syrian people. And most importantly, they want to have a lot to say about what happens in Syria in the future and what type of a political leader they're going to have in the future. So, therein lies the problem for Donald Trump. Personally, if this was Vietnam or if this was Iraq or if this was something like that, I would say stay out of there. But because it is almost a decided fact, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, they're in Raqqa, they're surrounded, the roads out are blocked, the roads to get more troops, to get more weapons, to get resupplied, those routes are pretty much closed. The Russians have shut down 2 of the 3. Turkey is pretty much got a handle on the other third way that you can get troops and soldiers and weapons and things like that in there. So not that the Saudis, the Israelis, the Kuwaitis, and the Bahraini folks will not try to get more troops in there, because they will continue, but they're finding it very, very difficult, and that's why you've seen the tide turn in the past 6 months. It's because the Russian air power has been devastating. It's because Hezbollah, those are some very, very good fighters in that type of environment. The Republican Guard, the Iranian Republican Guard, they're very, very good. The Syrian government, his troops have stayed with him. They haven't deserted him, and they've stayed in for the long haul. And he's maintained this. Assad has maintained the support of his military command and the troops on the ground. This is the reason why that they've been successful. The jig is just about up for the terrorists in Syria. So Donald Trump's got to make a decision what to do. Again, I think if he tries to drop 3,000 troops in there, it won't really have much of matter very much. He's going to have to send more. But it's not a big gamble, because if Donald Trump did send 50,000 troops in there and he did succeed in a very short period of time in bringing that situation to an end, he would reap tremendous political benefits. Tremendous. And I think that's why he has to do it. But the only thing I would advise the president on this, you're going to be told for political reasons to just try to send in a few thousand and then a few thousand more and a few thousand. No. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's a sissified way of doing it. It won't produce the results you want. It will look like you're getting caught up in mission creep. The newspapers will kill your ass on that deal. No. If you're going to do it, put your balls right on the table. Have the TV cameras focusing on them and say, here are my balls. I am going to send in 50,000 Marines. And we are going to finish this thing, and we are going to finish it in 90 to 120 days. It is going to be over. The battle will be over for Syria. Raqqa will fall. The Syrian people will come back from being refugees in Europe. They'll become Syrian citizens again, back to their homeland, and we'll help them restore their country, and they'll have hopefully a peaceful and prosperous future ahead. That's what Donald Trump needs to do. This is a win. All you have to do is make sure that you go to the Saudis, the Israelis, and all those and say, hey, We're getting ready to engage in this final operation. We're going to win this thing right here and now. We're going to win it in the next 3 to 4 months, and we're going to do it with overwhelming force. Stop sending the shit into the battle zone. And we can do that. And that's exactly what Trump needs to do. He needs to go big or stay at home. Now, I understand this as much as anyone else, and I know in this particular region of the world all the horrible things that can happen. That's why I say you got to send in the right numbers of troops. I remember very well in 1982, I was a soldier in the 1st Infantry Division stationed in Fort Riley, Kansas. At that time, when the 241 Marines barracks were blown up in Lebanon. What had happened there is that there was a war going on in Lebanon. There were 4 or 5 different groups fighting. We had diplomats in there trying to sort that out. For whatever reason, Reagan was told by the neocons, Dick Cheney and his friends, to put in a couple thousand Marines, which we did. And while those Marines were set up in a camp there, a truck bomber drove a truck bomb into the barracks and blew up 241 Marines. At which point, Ronald Reagan made a wise decision and he pulled the troops out. He also stated that that was his biggest mistake of his presidency, was putting those couple thousand Marines on the ground in Lebanon. This is always the risk you run in this area of the world because there are too many things that you cannot control. That's why you can't go in with a light, limited force of 3,000 Marines. It's not good enough. If you're going to go in there, Mr. President, ball up. Put in the amount of maximum force you need to go in there and win that thing in a hurry. Don't go in there and kick it around for a year or 2 years and fuck around with that. No. Put the troops in. If you're going to do it, go big or stay at home. Put them in, go win that thing, and it can be over in 3 to 4 months. You can take credit for it, and you also have enough troops that you're not going to get suckered into a deal or have a deal happen where you have a truck bomb blow up a few troops or whatever. You have enough troops there to make sure that you can defend your rears, to make sure you can defend your perimeters, to make sure that you have recon units looking for that type of stuff. You don't go in there undermanned. When you go in there undermanned, and trying to do it to politically tiptoe, the same thing that was done in Vietnam, the same thing that was done in Lebanon, and even to an extent in Iraq, Libya, and all these places. You know, when you got a war to fight, damn it, go fight the war and come home. The American people are on board for that. What they don't like is mission creep. What they don't like is this one step at a time, going to war one step at a time. If it's worth being there, you go make the case to the American people, you put the troops in, you win the damn thing, and you come home. That is what you do. Okay? So, Mr. President, I hope you're watching this video. That's the way you should handle this thing. Go defeat ISIS, go defeat Al-Qaeda in Syria, get that thing squared out. It'll take you 3 to 4 months. Send in 50 to 60,000 troops. Go make the case to the American people. Go in there and win that son of a bitch. That's what you do. That's how you handle the situation. Alrighty, if you enjoyed this video, I do hope that you'll share it with your friends. I really, really appreciate all those of you who are subscribing to my channel. Sharing my videos, I really appreciate it. I really enjoy doing it, and I, of course, always love comments and stuff like that, so I love your comments, and I always read them, because I have so few comments, I can actually go read them every day, so that's good, I guess. Hopefully it won't always be that way, but anyway, I do enjoy reading the comments as well, and I do learn from them, and I do think about it, because I'm not right about everything. I don't have a crystal ball. I enjoy the feedback. So anyway, thank you all very much. Enjoy your weekend. I'll be back with another video tomorrow for day 8 of the Tower Gate, and we'll see what transpires in those next 24 hours. And like I said, we'll watch the situation with Lebanon, and we'll watch how the president handles it. I hope he does it right. I hope he watches my video. I wouldn't steer him wrong. All right, you guys, take care. See ya. Bye.